This red Shaun Murphy managed to pot without committing a foul was one of many great shots from the European Masters. But which was the best? Well, as usual, I'm going to find out by attempting to recreate the 15 best shots as accurately as possible in the fewest possible attempts. And we're starting with a really challenging one from Mark Williams, who spotted a 3-ball plant here whilst cannoning into the pink to leave it on into the opposite corner. And I didn't really appreciate the difficulty of this shot until I played it for the first time and realised there was a big distance between the first and second reds. But what kept catching me out was to get the correct cannon on the pink, you actually had to screw the cue ball across the table. And it looked from the other end of the table like it only needed a stun shot. Either way, this was a really difficult shot to get right, especially as I kept scattering the balls everywhere each time I failed to play it correctly. I was incredibly relieved to finally get it on my 8th attempt and didn't really mind I hadn't got on the pink in the same way. Next we've got this fascinating shot from Shaun Murphy that isn't anywhere near as easy to play as it looks. To avoid pushing the cue ball, you need to strike down at it from a very high angle, and potting the red isn't anywhere near as difficult as getting the backspin on the cue ball to get up for the green. I was using a different bridge for this one because my table isn't as reactive as the one Shaun was using. Annoyingly, I cannoned into the reds accidentally on one of the shots and didn't put everything back in the right place. My 4th attempt nearly went right, but I cannoned the blue, and I finally got it pretty good on my 5th. Next is what you could argue to be the championship winning shot from Kyren Wilson. Not only does he pot the red and get in position on the pink here, but he also leaves the angle to get the reds off the cushion. You have to stun the cue ball into the pink here, but what I learned with my first attempt is you have to do this very slowly because it's very easy to make the pink go too far. I was very close to getting it on my 2nd attempt, but just slightly hit it too straight. I eventually got it on my 4th attempt. I was really pleased with this because it's not exactly the easiest shot, though unfortunately it went a little too straight. Time for a plant, but unfortunately this Judd trump shot doesn't look anywhere near as easy. Not only does he manage to pot the balls down the cushion, he also screws the cue ball back up the table. There is a big gap between the two reds here and they're pointing very slightly towards the side cushion, and this makes it really difficult to play the shot accurately. Although this may be marked down a little bit in the end because Judd's main objective was to screw the cue ball back into bulk. Either way, I was really happy to get it after just 3 attempts. I screwed the cue ball into the side cushion a little bit, but the audience still seemed to be really impressed. On our next shot, Mark Williams appears to be in a bit of trouble. With this snooker escape, he uses a small amount of right-hand side and backspin to arc the cue ball around the red, allowing him to strike the green. On my first attempt, I used far too much right-hand side, which meant I straightened the cue ball up more than I intended. My 2nd attempt looked a lot better and went straight towards the green. This wasn't too difficult, but it was a good-looking shot. Daniel Wells now with a good shot to remove the red from the cushion using the blue. This was a really well judged cannon at a crucial time during the frame. On my first attempt I put a little bit too much topspin on the cue ball and that makes it arc towards the side cushion. I decided to start hitting the cue ball a little bit lower and I got the cannon on the red, but unfortunately I pushed it towards the top cushion. I knew what I had to do though now and started hitting it a bit lower. My 3rd attempt went pretty well. Didn't leave the red on easily, but I still managed to pot it in the middle pocket. The amateur Farakh Ajaib picked up this impressive win over Barry Pinches with this great shot. The green was match ball, and after this Farakh went a long way in this tournament, only losing out in a very close match to Judd Trump. Hitting this shot isn't really that much of a challenge because it's so close to the side cushion, but potting it requires you to hit the right part of the ball, so I was really happy to get this after just 1 attempt.
Shaun Murphy again, this time with a good long pot.
He pots his way out of trouble here while screwing the cue ball back for the yellow. Because the cue ball's going towards the side cushion, it's actually not that much of a challenge to get it to screw back here because you can use a small amount of left-hand side. I was really close with my first attempt and really didn't expect to get what was quite a challenging shot on my second go, so I was happy with this one.
Mark Williams now with his frame-winning black against Hawkins in the semi-final.
Mark was 2-0 down at the time and had fought really hard to get on a respotted black, so he would have been desperate for this to go in. Fortunately for me, this is a shot I really like, so it wasn't really surprising that I got it on my first attempt, although I was pretty happy to do so.
But is this double from Kyren Wilson even more crucial?
Another respotted black in the other semi-final to draw 1-1 with Ali Carter. This is a shot I'm definitely nowhere near as good as I am at the last one, so I was really surprised to see it heading for the pocket on my first attempt. I was really annoyed it didn't go in because I was aware of how many more times it was going to take me before I even got that close again. For some reason recently I can never get it at the right angles to go towards the jaws of the middle pocket, so I'd probably never attempt this sort of shot in a match. Eventually I got it after 7 attempts, which for me isn't really too bad. But was this more crucial than the Mark Williams shot? Cue the music.
Mark Williams really needed the frame, but he ended up losing the semi-final, so he only receives 2 crucial caps. Kyren Wilson ended up winning his semi-final 6-5, so he receives 4 crucial caps and he's this week's winner. We've got an Ali Carter shot coming up next after we find Bolo from Bakersfield, California, which is there.
On this one, Ali's trying to escape from a snooker but also leave the shot completely safe, and the only way of doing that is rolling up to this red. Annoyingly, the referee gets a little bit in the way here, so we can only just see that Ali's managed to block any red that might go into the middle pocket. When I started playing this shot, I initially played it with right hand side until I realised pretty quickly that this was wrong, because it was bringing the cue ball too far across the table. Once I started playing it plain ball, I was on line for the red, I just needed to hit it hard enough. Although Ali wouldn't have had this luxury because he would have left the red on into the middle pocket. I actually hit it on my third attempt, but not in the right way and still left the red on. On my fourth attempt I got it wrong again because I accidentally played it with side spin, but my fifth attempt was a lot better. The line was right if only it was going to reach, and I wasn't sure if it had made it until I looked really close and saw it was touching the red. Kyren Wilson again with this impressive green to help him rack up yet another frame in the final. I didn't think too much of this shot to start off with. It felt like just a good long pot to help him go on and win the frame. That is until I attempted to play it. Because the cue ball's so close to the bolt cushion, I was finding it incredibly difficult to hit the green thin enough. And I wasn't just hitting it thick by a little bit, I was mostly hitting it way too thick and not getting anywhere near the jaws. I was pretty disappointed with this one because it felt like I should have got it a lot earlier. But as I said, it was a lot harder shot than it appeared, so 5 attempts probably isn't too bad.
Even though Hawkins didn't win the final, he still had a great tournament, and shots like this showed why.
Not only does he pot this incredibly difficult long red that's very close to the side cushion, he also manages to get in perfect position on the black, so he can just roll through to the next 2 reds. Unlike the previous shot, I was really happy to get this after just 2 attempts, and not only that, get in perfect position as well.
Another Kyren Wilson shot now, and this time he's potting a red from a snooker escape.
But unfortunately for Kyren, it wasn't anywhere near that simple. To strike the correct place on the cushion, he needed to first swerve around the green and make the angle. I was expecting this shot to be a real challenge and was really surprised when it felt like I mishit the first shot that was going towards the red. Unfortunately, the cue ball dropped in. My second attempt was more or less what I was expecting to do, so I was pretty pleased on my third attempt I got it right, and this time the cue ball didn't follow the red in.
Good news everyone, we only have this virtually impossible Mark Williams shot to go.
This one's a little bit similar to the Shaun Murphy shot from earlier, except this time we're using right hand side, not left, to get the cue ball back into bulk, as well as a lot of backspin. The thing that makes this so much harder is how close the red is to the side cushion. Playing it at this speed with a lot of side spin gives you virtually no margin for error. I'm not sure how I managed to get this after just 5 attempts. I think this was more luck than judgment.
So for the results, third place goes to Mark Williams with this 3-ball plant that was really difficult to play, and it included the cannon on the pink. Second goes to Ali Carter with this perfectly judged snooker escape. If he hadn't landed perfectly on the red here, he'd have left shots on. But first place definitely goes to Kyren Wilson's championship winning shot. Because of things like this, it's clear to see why he won the tournament.
Although this is another contender for the best shot of the tournament from Rory McLeod. It's a great hit, but I'm not sure he could have dreamt where the cue ball and red ended up, and I didn't fancy giving this a go. However, I did fancy trying to play the best trick shots from the previous season, so if you want to play that, have a look at this 2-part video. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.